topic. The previous class we have studied about the male reproductive system and female reproductive system. In the male reproductive system, we have seen how the sperms are going to be produced, and in the female reproductive system, ovum is going to be released. Ovum will be released from the ovarian follicle, and the release of ovum from the ovarian follicle is known as ovulation. The release of ovum from the ovarian follicle is known as ovulation. So, for the ovulation process to occur, that is, these ovarian follicles are going to be there in the female reproductive system by birth. Ovarian follicles will be there in all the human beings' female reproductive system by birth. But the growth of ovarian follicle and the production of ovum from the ovarian follicle and ovulation process starts at the stage of 13 to 14 years and it ends by 50 to 55 years. The development of ovarian follicle starts at this age, at the age of 13 to 14 years, and it ends by, that is, ovulation process stops by 50 to 55 years. This entire ovulation process and everything will be coming under the topic called as menstrual cycle. This menstrual cycle will occur for every 28 days to 38 days in the female reproductive system. This menstrual cycle has two phases, proliferative phase and secretory phase. During the this proliferative phase occurs between the first 12 to 14 days of the cycle. The starting day to 12 to 14 days this proliferative stage occurs, and the secretory stage begins from 14th day till 28th day or 30th day. The proliferative stage starts from first day to 12th or 14 days, and secretory stage starts in the next days, that is 14th to 28th or 30th days. So let us see what happens during this proliferative stage and secretory stage. I told you that ovarian follicle will be releasing ovum, that is known as ovulation process. This occurs generally on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. Release of ovum from the ovarian follicles occurs generally on the 14th day, and according to studies, there is 90% in 90% of the females it occurs on 14th day, and it is observed that it occurs between 12th to 16th day of the menstrual cycle. During this stage, what happens means the ovarian follicle, we have studied about estrogen and progesterone in the previous classes regarding control and coordination. Those hormones which are released by the female reproductive system, ovaries, they will act on the ovarian follicle, and the ovarian follicle is going to grow in size. As it grows in size, then after it is going to grow in size, then the ovum which is present in the ovarian follicle will be ruptured and it is going to be released. And this is mainly because of the act of estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone will act on the ovarian follicle. During the first 12 days, what happens means the ovarian follicle will be very small in size. It grows in size and it is going to divide meiotically and it is going to release ovum. This ovum will be released on the 14th day. In between 12th to 16th days, generally it is considered as 14th day of the menstrual cycle. And during this as soon as the ovum is released from the ovarian follicle, this proliferative stage is going to be completed. Then the ovum from the oviduct, it travels all along the way and it settles in the fallopian tube. Ovum is released from the ovary, that is ovarian follicle, and it will be collected by oviduct, and this collection will be done on 14th day or in between 12 to 16 days. Then it travels through the fallopian tube and it waits here for the fertilization process to take place. If fertilization does not take place, then during the secretory stage what happens is, yesterday we have studied that uterus, it is a reverse pear shaped structure. Reverse pear shaped structure. I think you know about pear. It will be just similar to that of a apple. It will be in reverse pear-shaped structure. Uterus will be reverse pear-shaped structure. During this first 14 days, what happens is the walls of the uterus gets thickened and it is going to develop a layer which is known as endometrium. So as to bear the weight of the baby, growing embryo, it has to increase in size and it will be developing a special membrane or special layer known as endometrium. If fertilization process does not occur, then this generally on 26 to 28 days, what happens is the endometrium which has developed will detach from the uterus. It is going to detach from the uterus, and the ovum, lifespan of ovum inside the fallopian tube is only 24 hours. The lifespan of ovum inside the female reproductive system, if it is not fertilized, then the lifespan is only 24 hours, then it degenerates. The ovum degenerates within 24 hours if fertilization process does not occur, and it enters into the uterus. And the walls of the uterus which have been developed as endometrium gets detached. And generally on 28th and 30th day, the detached walls of the uterus, that is endometrium, degenerated ovum, and along with some amount of blood, it will be coming out of the female reproductive system, with which the secretory stage is going to be completed. So this is the menstrual cycle which occurs generally, which starts at 13 to 14 years in the females and it is going to end by 50 to 55 years. During this phase, if fertilization does not occur, then this will be continued throughout their lifetime, that is up to 50 to 55 years. Menstrual cycle, they start at the age of 13 to 14 years and it has two phases, proliferative phase and secretory phase. During the proliferative phase, it occurs between first 12 to 14 days where the ovarian follicle is going to increase in size, it is going to grow. And once it grows, then when it attains maturity, then the ovum which is present in the ovarian follicle, that is ovarian follicle ruptures and ovum will be released generally on the 14th day. It will be seen mostly in between 12 to 16 days. Okay. Then once the ovarian follicle releases the ovum, that is known as ovulation process. Ovulation, as soon as the ovum is released, then proliferative stage will be completed. Then ovum will be entering into the oviduct. Through oviduct it will travel through the fallopian tube and it waits there, and its lifespan is only 24 hours for fertilization process to take place. If fertilization process does not occur, then secretory stage begins. That is from next 14 to 28 days. The next stage is going to begin where the ovum degenerates after 24 hours. That is on the 15th day it is going to degenerate, or in the 16th day it is going to degenerate. And degenerated ovum reaches here. As during this proliferative stage, what happens? The endometrium, that is walls of the uterus, gets thickened and it is going to develop as endometrium. The endometrium waits for the growing embryo to reach. Since fertilization process has not taken place, this endometrium gets detached from the walls of the uterus and ovum, degenerated ovum, and along with some amount of blood, it will be coming out in mother. That is called as secretory phase, with which the menstrual cycle is going to stop, not stop, cease, and again it is going to continue its cycle. First day, then it is going to continue. Okay. Now, this is the menstrual cycle if fertilization process does not take place. If fertilization process takes place, then this is the procedure. If fertilization process has taken place in the females, then the fertilized ovum is known as zygote. Then the zygote develops into embryo. Fertilized ovum is known as zygote and zygote develops into embryo. Embryo will enter into the uterus and it gets attached to the endometrium. The attachment of embryo to the uterus is known as implantation of baby. Implantation. The attachment of embryo to the uterus is known as implantation. Once the implantation has taken place, then progesterone plays a major role in development of these layers. That is, before the 12 weeks of growing embryo, That means before 3 months, then the first important layer which is going to be developed is known as chorion. Which this chorion is going to be acting as a nourishment for the growing embryo. Nourishment means it will be providing the required nutrients to the growing embryo, and it will be removing the waste materials which are released during the respiratory process, that is metabolic activities, and it will be done through the layer known as chorion. That is before 12 weeks of pregnancy. Before 12 weeks. And during the 12 weeks, after 12 weeks, the embryo is nowhere. It is going to be called as fetus. After 12 weeks, the embryo is known as fetus. Before 12 weeks, it is known as embryo. This embryo will be nourished by chorion. This is the layer that is formed between the embryo and the mother, and it is going to be consisting of the blood vessels. Or during this process, what happens is entire process of removal and entering of material, that is food material, will be supplied to the growing embryo and waste materials will be removed. This will be done only by diffusion process. Diffusion means movement of molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration. So if the amount of material, food material increases in the uterus, then it will be supplied to the baby, that is embryo. If the amount of waste materials in the embryo increases, then it is going to be released by the diffusion process into the mother, so that it will be removed. So entire diffusion process takes place in the chorion, and once 12 weeks is completed, then the embryo is called as fetus. Then this fetus develops an important layer during the 12th week of pregnancy, which is known as placenta. During 12th week of pregnancy, it develops an important layer which is known as placenta. Placenta will now act as the supplement material. That is, it is going to be consisting of blood vessels which are coming from mother and the fetus. The fetus blood vessels as well as the mother blood vessels will be connected together, and they are present in the placenta, through which nourishment takes place. Nourishment means supplying of food materials to the growing fetus, and removal of waste material will take place through the blood vessels which are present in the placenta. So this placenta will be developed after the 12th week. Before 12th week, chorion will be acting, and diffusion process takes place there, and no more diffusion process takes place once the placenta is developed. Once the placenta is developed, then it develops the blood vessels. It develops the blood vessels. The blood vessels will be present. It is common for both mother as well as the growing fetus. Now, during this phase, what happens is it develops another layer around the placenta, which is known as amnion, which will be filled with a fluid called as amniotic fluid. This amnion and amniotic layer will be protecting the fetus from mechanical shocks. When the mother is moving or when the mother is trying to lift some weight, then mechanical shocks will be felt on the stomach, uterus. So for that reason, then what happens means this amnion and amniotic fluid, which will be protecting the fetus to not to receive the mechanical shocks or physical shocks, which will be received by the mother. So this will be developed once the placenta is developed, and then allantois will be developed, and this allantois will be formed from the projections which are coming from the amniotic layer. Generally it is yolk sac. From the yolk sac, some finger-like projections will be coming, and this will be forming as the allantois, and this allantois later on will be developed into umbilical cord. Allantois will be developing into umbilical cord, which will be staying till the childbirth. Once the childbirth occurs, then this umbilical cord will be cut off by the doctor. So this will be developing from the allantois. So when the baby is present in the 14th week or 15th week, then this allantois will develop, and it will be developed from the projections of the yolk sac, finger-like projections, and this will be developing later into umbilical cord. This umbilical cord will be retained until the childbirth. Once the childbirth has completed, then this umbilical cord will be cut off. And yolk sac, the exact function of yolk sac is not known, but it will be developing into the projections of this yolk sac will be developing into umbilical cord. Okay, this is if fertilization process occurs. If fertilization process occurs, then it develops into zygote. Zygote develops into embryo. This embryo will be implanted. That means it develops, it grows, travels all along the fallopian tube and it enters into the uterus, and it gets attached to the walls of the uterus, that is walls of the endometrium, and then the endometrium walls will get thickened so as to bear the weight of the growing embryo. Then up to 12th week it is called as embryo, and after 12th week it is called as fetus. Up to 12th week the nourishment will be done by the layer known as chorion, and then after 12th week the nourishment will be done by important layer known as placenta. This placenta will be consisting of blood vessels of both fetus and mother. And this placenta, over this placenta, after 12th week, another important layer known as amnion will develop. This amnion will be consisting of amniotic fluid. This amniotic fluid and amnion will protect the child from, that is protect the fetus from mechanical or physical shocks. And from the amnion, allantois will be developing. This allantois is another layer which consists of finger-like projections from the yolk sac, which will be developing into umbilical cord, and this umbilical cord will be cut off once the childbirth has taken place, and it will be detached by the doctor. It will be retained until the childbirth. Okay, it is the connection between mother and the child. Once the child has come out, then the umbilical cord will be cut off. This entire process, that is from fertilization to childbirth, this period is known as gestation period. The entire development of embryo, zygote, embryo, fetus and child until childbirth in the mother's womb, that is uterus, is known as gestation period. It is generally 9 months, or generally it will be considered as 280 days in human beings, and it varies in different mammals. In cats and dogs, cats it will be around 2 months or 45 days. In dogs it will be around 3 to 4 months, and in elephant it will be around 1 year. Likewise, depending upon the animal size, the gestation period will be varying. But when we are talking about human beings, it is around 280 days, which is equal to 9 months. After this gestation period is completed, then the childbirth takes place. That is, during this childbirth, what happens is progesterone and estrogen will be releasing some fluids, resulting in labor pains. And during this labor pains, once the labor pains has triggered, these labor pains will be triggered by progesterone and estrogen released by the ovary. Once they are triggered, that means labor pains will start. When the labor pain starts, the baby actually will be in the vertical position, and automatically the baby turns down. That means face will be coming towards downside, and first during the childbirth, baby's face will be coming out. Only in few rare cases, legs will be coming out, that is 0.001%, 0.1%. Only in those children legs will be coming out, but 99.99% or 99.9% the child's head will be coming out first during the childbirth. And this amniotic fluid, I told you, this amniotic fluid will be protecting from the mechanical shocks. When the labor pains once triggered, then the amniotic fluid will be coming out, and it will be enabling the child to come out easily. Amniotic fluid and these hormones, that is, they will be keeping pressure over the uterus, as a result of which the childbirth will take place easily because of the amnion being rupturing and amniotic fluid helping the child to come out easily, which acts as a lubricant. All the human beings, including me and you, will be born like this. So what happens means, once the childbirth has taken place, then we will be developing the mammary glands which are present in a mother will be developing colostrum from the mammary glands, which will be developing the immune system, which is light yellowish in color. It is not milk, but it will be yellowish in color. It will be coming out of the mother for first 1 or 2 days, and it will be supplied to the child which will be helping the child to develop its own immune system. Until then, the child, since it was in the mother's womb, it was depending on the immune system of mother. Whatever the mother feels, that is, if the mother suffers from fever, the same will be shown in the baby. If mother feels from any disease, that will be reflecting the baby. But once the childbirth has taken place, then it has to develop its own immune system. So for the immune system to develop in the growing baby, that is once the child has born, colostrum is the material which will be released by mother from the mammary glands. It is just straw colored. Straw colored means light yellowish in color, which will be coming out from mammary glands, which will be given as a feeding to the baby, which helps in development of immune system. Once that colostrum is being removed, then generally milk will come out of the mammary glands, which will be helpful for the nourishment of the child. So this is about the childbirth. Now we have different topics which are related to it, which is called as STDs. Those are sexually transmitted diseases. STDs mean sexually transmitted diseases, just like you might have studied in your previous class, just like gonorrhea, AIDS, etc. etc. Gonorrhea is being caused by bacteria, and it will be direct contact. If a male is going to come in direct contact sexually with the help with a female, then if male or female, if any one of the partner is having any gonorrhea, then it will be transmitted from one partner to other partner, which is known as sexually transmitted disease, and it is bacterial disease. And if we go to AIDS, AIDS means acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which will be acquired from other person. Since it is acquired from other person, it is called as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, because it is going to it is going to weaken that immune system present in our body, defense mechanism. So it is known as AIDS. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. The meaning itself is, it is acquired from one person. It is not born. It is not born inside a person's body. It is acquired either from one partner to other partner, or from mother to child, or from one partner to other partner. That is why it is called as acquired. We are acquiring from other persons, other partners, or other persons. And immunodeficiency, that means it is going to defeat the immune system, or it is going to weaken the immune system. It is going to destroy our WBC cells, white blood cells inside our body. So it is known as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which is considered as an STD. STD means sexually transmitted disease. Okay, so these sexually transmitted diseases, we should be aware of these diseases, and sex should be confined only to one partner. If it is confined to several others, then these diseases will be seen in that persons, in those partners, or in those persons. And we have another topic which is called as contraceptive methods. And contraceptive means avoiding pregnancy or ceasing the pregnancy during the menstrual cycle is known as contraceptive, and the methods by which we adapt is known as contraceptive method. If a married person doesn't want any pregnancy, then what he or she has to do means, they have to go for contraceptive techniques with the help of any material. That is, we can go for vasectomy, tubectomy, use of condoms, and T-shaped T-loop in females. These will be adapted by females, and these will be adapted by males. Males will be going for vasectomy and condoms, and females will be going for tubectomy and T-loop. T-loop will be inserted in female uterus. Tubectomy means fallopian tube will be tied off, so that ovum will not be coming out. In tubectomy, what happens means, vas deferens will be tied off, so that pumps will not come out. Vas deferens will be tied off. In females, tubectomy means the fallopian tube will be tied off, so that ovum will not come out. And condoms will be for males to avoid pregnancy for temporarily, and T-loop temporarily in females. And these contraceptive methods generally it cannot be adapted for all during all the entire menstrual cycle, but it can be adapted between 10th day to 18th day, because we don't know when the ovum will be produced. It will be produced in between 12 to 16 days. As I told you that its lifespan is 24 hours. Generally, if it is released on 16th day, then it will be present in the female reproductive system for about 17th day. So, if it is released on 11th day, don't know. So, we have to adapt these contraceptive methods in between 10th to 12th, 18th days to avoid pregnancy during the menstrual cycle. And if a person wants the child to be born, then no contraceptive methods during the menstrual cycle, so that it will be developing into fertilization process will take place and childbirth will be coming. This process will take place. If doesn't want, then contraceptive method has to be adapted between 10th to 18th days. And one more important thing is, I told you 24 days, 24 hours per ovum. Lifespan of ovum inside female reproductive system is 24 hours. Sperm, it is around 48 hours to 72 hours inside female reproductive system. The lifespan of sperm inside female reproductive system is around 48 hours to 72 hours. It waits for the ovum to be released. Once the ovum is released, then the acrosome will penetrate into the ovum. Ovum will be circular in shape and it will be penetrating into the ovum and it will be releasing its nucleus. And you might be getting a doubt how twins will be born. So more than one, if one, there is a chance of one or two sperms will be entering into the ovum. Generally ovum size will be big and sperm size will be very small. So when the sperms are trying to enter, release its nucleus, once only, generally 1 in 1 lakh may be twins. 1 in 1 lakh may be twins. Generally 99,999 will be normally only one birth. One childbirth will be happening. So for the twins to form, whenever two sperms are going to release their nucleus into the ovum, then twins will be born. If 4 sperms are going to release, 4, quadruple. 3 means triple. Triple sons or triple children will be born. Only one, generally as soon as the first sperm has released its nucleus into the ovum, then it triggers, that means it triggers a thick wall around the ovum, so as not any other sperm to release its sperm or nucleus. Once single sperm has released its nucleus into the ovum, then it will trigger a membrane, a thick membrane around its wall, so as to not enable any other sperm to release its ovum. Generally, if 2 at a time releases, then it results in the birth of a twin. So this is about contraceptive methods, and these contraceptive methods will be adapted during the 10th to 18th days of menstrual cycle. And we have teenage motherhood topic and stop female feticide. That means we know exactly what is the age for the marriage. Below 18 years of females it is considered as child marriage, and below 21 years of males it is considered as child marriage. But nowadays it has been increased to 21 years for both males and females. Generally in males it has become as 22 to 24 years, and in females it has become as 21 years. So because they don't know what is happening to their body and what they have to do exactly with their child and everything. So that is the reason why we have to stop teenage marriage. Generally in olden days, teenage marriages were very common before independence and during the period of independence. We used to see 12 to 15 children commonly in a single family, or 6 to 8 minimum in a single family, because they don't know what was happening to the female's body and what is the effects of growth of population at that time. But as we have learned people and as we have grown up, we know what are the effects, the adverse effects of population, growth of population and everything. And so we are stopping. The government has asked us to stop childbirth, that is complete termination of pregnancy after once we have got 1 or 2 children. Only 1 or 2 children should be confined to a family in India, and more than that will be. And we have also got a legalized opinion and legalized thing in our India that if more than 2 children are present to a person who are born after 1990 or so, they are not eligible for contesting in elections. They are not eligible for contesting in elections. Those who are having more than 2 children. This is the law made by the Indian government to stop population growth. So there should be a law to stop population. So for that, the persons who are having more than 2 children, those who are born after 1990, remember 1990, that means they will be doing their marriage around 2018, 2017. So for them who are having more than 2 children, they are eligible. They are not eligible for contesting in any type of elections, starting from sarpanch to president. Okay. Now, as we know that the ratio of males to females is less. That means more number of less number of females and more number of females are there as per the statistics suggested by Indian population. That for every 1000 males, only 800, 820 around odd 840 females are present. As a result of it, because of female feticide. That means as the sex of the child is determined in the fetus, most of the parents doesn't want a baby child to be grown. So they are killing the child inside the baby, that inside the mother's womb. That is called as female feticide. So we have to stop female feticide, because once there may come a time where number of males will be more and number of females will be less because of the female feticide. So stop female feticide.